Hello and welcome to another edition of the School Safety Free Period. I'm Amanda Klinger.
And I'm Dr. Amy Klinger.
And we are with the School Educators School Safety Network. We are a national nonprofit organization and we provide school safety training and resources and technical assistance to schools throughout the U.S. and Canada. And typically, we are very scholarly, we are very serious, and we take the work of school safety very seriously. But every once in a while, we have our School Safety Free Period, where we have a few laughs at wild and wonderful world of school safety. So typically, how this happens is one of us has a story that is almost too absurd to be true, but it is true, ripped from the headlines, as it were, and we talk about it, and then typically we have some takeaways about some sort of legitimate and educational lesson to be learned about the work of school safety. So,
it's been a tough week tough couple of weeks for schools. There's been some significant tragedies happening, and so, actually those we discuss in our school safety news, but so I wanted to kind of deviate from that and just look at the other craziness that was happening while the tragic stuff was going on. And again, I think it's always important to point out these are potential safety issues as well. Mm-hmm. It's just that they turn out with a little happier ending, so we can sort of make a little bit of light of those because they are kind of absurd and ridiculous, but they are legitimate safety concerns that we need to be concerned with. So,
and it's a very fine line between what is a tragedy and what is sort of a near miss that we can chuckle at. And so that is, that's sort of it's one of those things, if you didn't laugh a little bit, you would cry. And so we bring you some of these lighter side of things.
Yeah, so we're really going to do two different things today. We're going to look at the behavior of folks, and then we're going to look at guns. Okay? So let's start with the behavior of folks. So we have a situation in California that just occurred. And luckily, there was a construction worker nearby.
Wait, what happened in California?
Well, I'm just going to tell you, but I'm just want you to know that the construction worker documented this for us.
Okay.
Or we would never know that this occurred. It occurred on an elementary school playground when a teacher who is supervising recess suddenly gets some impulse that I'm not quite sure what, strips down naked and chases the children around the playground.
What?
They are second and fifth grade students.
Wait, this is a professional educator.
Well, we don't know. I can tell you what the school said officially. An individual began behaving in an unusual way.
An individual employed by the school? One of our employees?
Actually, he was a contracted employee who worked for, it looks like a subcontractor, but he was, yes, a professional educator. Yes.
Holy
Well, but, it has a happy ending because the kids all ran inside screaming and the building went into lockdown, and the kids ran into the classrooms. And then the construction worker documented him putting his pants back on. So he did get dressed again. And then the parents were notified via an automated phone call. I would like to hear what you say in that automated phone call.
Attention, elementary
I know that Johnny
parents.
may tell you something crazy happened today on recess,
and
it did.
It did. It's all true.
They're investigating, but and I guess would like to think that there is some reason here that I don't know.
I mean,
but
maybe there's probably like a sad mental health reason.
Yeah.
Like that's probably this sort of to me seems to sort of go beyond the poor judgment of the bus driver that we discussed, who said that he was going to blow up the school as a way to connect with students.
Yeah.
This to me seems to sort of go beyond that and more into the realms of something was happening with this individual.
But it certainly does.
Wow.
Does put us in probably the theme today of the common theme being administrators having to deal with stuff where you're going, what? Wait, what happened? What? And so there's that one.
Okay.
And so while we're on the...
what's the takeaway here? Let's hope that...
I don't know.
I mean, aside from whatever may have happened in this particular instance, it's really important to have adequate supervision on your playground. because, kids could fall off
In
the
case
swings.
one person decides to
No,
go.
I don't know if adequate supervision really would have prevented this specific instance, but adequate supervision on the playground is just always an
Well, there
important
you
concern.
go. All right,
Hey,
good.
I can make anything into
That's
an
a
important
takeaway.
takeaway. Okay.
Okay, so now we have a second professional. This is another professional educator who has been arrested for allegedly saying he was going to murder children. And again, in 28 years in public education, I have to say there are times where I may have thought things like, "Ooh, this kid." I can't say that I ever verbalized the desire, but let me tell you what he said. This is the direct quote from the
Said
police
it to
report.
whom?
He was commenting to another teacher near the end of the day at an elementary school.
Hey, what
This
units
is-
do you have going up there? I don't know, but I'm going to murder children. What?
This is an elementary school. Now, here's the quote. I'm going to murder everyone in the building. Scratch that. I'm going to murder everyone's children in the building and make them watch. So we went from the more innocuous of, I could kill that kid, to I am going to murder everyone's children in the building. And so you can sort of see.
So he's mad at the adults.
I don't know, but you can see where it got dark real fast, where it went from, and again, picture you're the person standing next to this guy, where you're first like, yeah, I know, and then where you go, wait, what? From the, I'm going to murder everyone, ha ha ha, to I'm going to murder everyone's children in the building and make them watch. Now, the motivation behind this comment.
Sounds real ambitious.
The motivation behind this comment is because this individual had gotten in trouble for an unrelated sexual comment about girls. Now he works in an elementary school. Let's just all make sure that we're. And then I guess the other part that's a little bit sort of ironic is the staff member that hears this calls the non-emergency line to let the SRO know, but the SRO was gone, so nothing happened. So the call went nowhere. So then several days later, it finally catches up. Then he says something and is going through a divorce, and there's lots of personal trauma, I think, or trials and tribulations happening. He leaves his home and says he's heading to the school where he's not supposed to be because he's on administrative leave.
For threatening to murder everyone's
For
children.
murdering everyone's children,
As
you
you
know,
do, as that
overreacting.
happens.
And so the school ends up going into a lockdown. So, yeah, he went from bad to worser, if that's possible. However, just to get his side of the story, he denied that he made a threat to harm anyone, but he admitted that he wished a slow and painful death for unnamed people. Now, as the attorney in the room, I don't know if that would be your advice to, cop to the I
Wishing
wish a
for-
slow and painful death.
My advice to this person would be stop talking.
Yeah.
Full stop. Stop talking, period. Just don't say anything else. Don't say sexual comments about girls. Don't say who you're going to murder. Don't say what kind of death you wish for. Stop talking, period.
So there we are with that one.
Okay.
Don't know if there's a takeaway there.
I hope that start to turn around for him and
Yeah.
mostly that he stops talking.
Okay, so now let's transition quickly to the gun thing, just where because you did a really nice segue without knowing it, where you said the just stop talking sort of thing. Okay, so this one just happened.
We could just rename this podcast as Just Stop Talking
Just
because I
Stop
feel like
Talking.
90% of these are just stop talking.
So
just don't say that.
We have a situation in Alabama where we have a 16-year-old who gets into an altercation at school. They're fighting, yelling, whatever. He pulls out his gun, as you should do at school. Carry it with you, I guess.
During a fight at school, he pulls out his gun.
Yes, has his gun.
I have a bad feeling that there's but wait, there's more, because that's pretty
Yep.
incredible to begin with. Okay.
The assistant principal spots him with the gun, tries to calm him down, which again, and not being funny but being serious, we talk about the dangers inherent in confronting someone with a weapon,
Right.
and trying to quote unquote talk them down when they have committed to a path of violence.
Right.
Now, in this particular case, he is not. But once, someone has fired a weapon and is actively shooting people, we're not reasoning anymore.
Well,
we're like
right,
overpowering.
And when we
not
talk about that,
reasoning.
there's a very big difference between someone walks into the office brandishing a gun, as in I'm about to begin a school shooting, is a very different thing than a kid who is getting into a fight and then, actually I have a gun on me, let me whip that out and wave it
but
around.
still, I mean, that's very dangerous.
Still very
situation.
dire, very dangerous circumstances. But those are two different.
Well, so
things,
the assistant principal, God love him, tries to diffuse the situation, which is probably a good choice.
Yeah.
At this point, the student takes off running, and I'm just reading the media report. I'm sure that this is not the way they would describe it, but the media report says the student took off running and led a group of administrators on a chase around campus. They make it sound like a Keystone Cop sort of thing, like
Is that when they have the yakety,
and they're like running, yeah, or
the
yakety
sax?
yeah. I mean, that is not in
not
any
funny,
way
but
how I would describe a chase around campus. And having, as an administrator, had kids that you did essentially chase around campus. That is not in any way a funny sort of thing.
How
But
does the yakety sax song even go?
I'm not singing on the podcast. So now, continue. So then they finally catch up with him, and then he fires his gun into the air 4 or 5 times. Yeah, so, I mean, think of how this could have gone south so fast. So we have now this 16-year-old
at the OK
who
Corral
has now been charged with a variety of things, like firing a weapon.
Yakety
He
sax.
ends up in court now.
Unsurprisingly.
Yep. And they add an additional charge.
But he never fires that at anyone. There's no injuries. There's no fatalities. It's important to
No, he's been firing in the air.
Okay.
So they add an additional charge of making a terrorist threat.
Okay.
And he reads the charge from the paper and says, F this and F the court system, and throws the paper down and leaves.
Leave.
Walks out of the courtroom.
Is he not in custody?
Dunno. The judge orders the teen back into the court and made him apologize for his actions. So we apparently have an individual with like poor impulse control on a lot of fronts. And then this whole notion of, F this, because,
the court system.
And again, I'm sure the attorney was like, yes, please.
Please. Judges
That's
love
helpful.
that.
Yeah.
Did they have a yakety sax style chase around the court?
No, I don't know.
Important question.
I don't know. Apparently, but this whole, like, do crazy stuff and leave apparently seems to be working. Or at least used to. And so then, of course, he's going to be charged as an adult, not surprisingly. And then finally, let's wrap this all up with a little lighter side. In Texas, we have a criminal justice class that is going to do...
Is it a college?
A firearms simulation, yes, it's at a community college.
Okay.
And the instructor takes a live weapon and puts it in the box so that it will not be confused with the training weapon. So it's, I have my live weapon, but let me put it away in this box so that it doesn't get confused with the weapon that we're going to use for training.
Oh,
Can you guess?
Did someone get shot?
Can you guess what? And then what happens?
It goes off.
A student thinks, okay, it's my turn to train. I'm going to take the training weapon out of this box and fires it at the wall. Blows a hole in the wall. And went through and broke a window on the other side. Luckily, no one was injured. Can you picture? I'm taking this and I'm putting it in the box.
Is this a Monty Python sketch?
I'm putting it in the box. And then
I go in the box and use the live weapon.
Right. So you as the person go, okay, there's 2 things. I need a training one. There's this one that's sitting right here, easily accessible. Or there's the one that's cleverly concealed in this box. I bet the one I'm supposed to use is not the one that's sitting here right in my face. I think I'm supposed to use this one that's secured in this box.
Okay, but you said that a law enforcement official took their live weapon and put it in the box, and then did they go turn towards the wall and go, were they not there going, no, not the one in the box?
Maybe they took it and shuffled it like cups on, like, shells.
They played the shell game.
Back and forth. Okay, which one? In the box, not in the box. In the box, not in the box. I don't know.
Maybe that was the training.
And
maybe it was
telling you-
an inception. Maybe it was a training within the training, and they failed. And when
telling
they
you,
failed, whether that was part of
Every
the training
teacher
or not.
listening to this is going, yup, I give the world's clearest directions, and someone still does the thing that is more difficult and more incorrect.
And luckily, most of the time, your instructions are not about live weapons, but still. Okay.
So there you go.
Ay, ay, ay.
And then just to know how we spin it the correct way, the spokesperson for the college said the incident serves as a reminder of the importance of firearm safety.
That was why we did it. That was, the guy...
They plan on installing heavy-duty metal lock boxes in the classrooms, which isn't going to make a difference if the person goes, time for the demo, let me get into this heavy metal lock box.
So what I hear you saying is that the kid that we talked about just before this F the court system, Mr. Him, he just serves to demonstrate the importance of physical fitness of the people who are going to be chasing him around.
I don't know.
The campus.
I can't really do a takeaway on that
spin
one
on
either.
that?
No.
Yikes.
But that's what was happening this week. While sad, tragic, and serious things were happening,
This was also happening.
But again, let's do the takeaway. Each one of these things, we can imagine a very dark ending to all of these, which I guess is kind of the takeaway, is we can laugh about these things, but this craziness could have ended up in a very different place.
Well, and I think also the takeaway is, if our notion of school safety, if you're at a school where the notion of school safety is, we had active shooter training one time last year, therefore we are safe moving forward in perpetuity, and we don't need to think about this, we don't need to have discussions about this, we don't need to be prepared or train or have our folks be empowered, you're wrong, because all of these things that we talk about, where there's a very fine line between a tragic ending and us sort of joking, maybe in poor taste ending, is a very fine line, and none of those were that quote unquote traditional active shooter scenario. So there's a lot of potential.
But the people that had the potential to be harmed would have been just as harmed, whether it was a textbook case or this crazy accident, of any of these things that occurred.
Yeah, so there you have it. Well, if you have a too absurd to be true, but it is true story, we always like to get those from folks. You can email them to us, info@eschoolsafety.org.
Or just email us and tell us what you think. We'd like feedback too.
Just be our pen pals. Just email us whatever you think, I guess. If you're looking for more research or resources, we have a lot of free resources, and we have information about the work that we do and the training that we offer. You can head to our website, which is www.eschoolsafety.org. Please do rate and review and subscribe to this podcast. When you do that, and the reason that we always ask, when you do that, that helps us get in front of people who are interested in this, like-minded folks who maybe aren't aware of the podcast and need to be. And you also can always send the information on to your colleagues. If you have someone that would like to listen to this, we would appreciate it if you send it to them. And
if you haven't had a chance to see the serious side, as we mentioned, there's a lot of stuff happening right now in schools that you most likely need to be aware of that's not as funny. And so make sure that you check out our School Safety News podcast as well.
Sure, and you can both of our podcasts anywhere you normally get your podcasts. iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher. I think that's it. That's a lot of places.
You're just trying to think of all the places you can think of.
All right, there you go. Thanks.